Let me tell you something about the worst decisions of my life. They never feel like decisions at the time. They feel like Tuesday. Let me be very clear about something before the story starts. I am a reasonable person. I make reasonable decisions. I live a reasonable life. I wake up at a reasonable hour. I eat reasonable meals. I go to bed at a reasonable time. I've never once done anything that could be described as impulsive or chaotic or deeply unwise. My name is Zara Mitchell, 24, freelance social media manager, owner of 3 houseplants, 2 of which are unfortunately no longer with us. I have a weighted blanket, a color-coded notes folder for my interview tomorrow morning, and absolutely no business being on this yacht. And yet, here I am, on a yacht. Wearing my best friend Jade's dress because Jade said, and I quote, "You have nothing to wear to a party, and I refuse to let you show up in that hoodie again." The hoodie is perfectly good, but Jade has opinions. So now I am standing on a yacht that costs more than my entire street, in a dress that is slightly shorter than I would personally choose, in heels that were clearly designed by someone who has never had to walk anywhere, holding a drink that probably costs more than my weekly food budget, surrounded by people who have never once Googled, "Can I freeze bread to make it last longer?" I had an interview in the morning. A real one, Chase Media Group, social media manager position. I had spent 3 weeks preparing, color-coded folder, practice answers, researched the company so thoroughly I could probably run it myself, and I was on a yacht. Because Jade said it would be fun. Jade's idea of fun and my idea of fun have never overlapped once in 4 years of friendship. Her fun involves crowds and noise and people with good bone structure. My fun involves a new episode of something, a snack I have been saving since Tuesday, and absolutely nobody within speaking distance. She'd introduced me to 7 people whose names I had immediately lost. I had smiled in the right places. I had laughed when other people laughed. I had nodded thoughtfully at things I did not hear. And then Jade had spotted someone she knew from somewhere and floated away into the crowd like a social butterfly who had been waiting her entire life for this specific crowd. And I had very quietly found myself a corner because corners are safe and reliable and have never embarrassed me at a party. I sat down. I took out my phone. I opened my interview notes. I was being productive. I was being responsible. I was absolutely not having fun, and I was completely at peace with that. I was fine. Everything was fine. And then the energy on the upper deck changed. The only way I can describe it is that something arrived. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a shift. The way the air changes before a storm. The way a room gets slightly more awake without anyone deciding to wake up. I looked up from my phone, and my entire brain shut down. She was standing at the entrance to the upper deck, talking to some man in a white shirt who clearly believed he was having the best conversation of his life and had no idea he was about to become completely irrelevant to this story. Dark fitted suit, natural hair, full and perfect and entirely unfair. The kind of presence that doesn't announce itself because it doesn't need to. The kind of beautiful that doesn't ask for your attention. It just takes it. And inside my head, because I need you to understand what was happening inside my head. Oh no. No. Who is this woman? And why has she decided to exist in this specific location on the same night I exist in this specific location? And why does she look like that? And why is she standing like that? And who gave her permission? I looked back at my phone. I am composed. I'm a composed adult. I have an interview tomorrow. I have goals. I have a color-coded folder. I'm not going to sit here and lose my mind over a stranger at a party I didn't even want to attend. I looked up again. She was still there, still talking to the man in the white shirt who was still very pleased with himself. Still looking like that. Okay, fine. Objectively, she is beautiful. That is just a fact. Facts are allowed. Acknowledging a fact is not losing your mind. I am simply acknowledging a fact, and then I am going to go back to my interview notes like a person with priorities and self-control, and... She looked at me. Not at the crowd, not at the view, not at the man in the white shirt who was clearly mid-sentence and now talking to no one. At me. My entire nervous system filed an emergency report. I did not look away. She did not look away. The man in the white shirt said something. She didn't respond. He followed her gaze to me, looked back at her, understood immediately that the conversation was over, and excused himself with the dignity of someone who knew when they had lost. Inside my head, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. Okay, we are making eye contact. This is fine. People make eye contact. This is a normal human experience. Just look away casually. Like a normal person who is not just staring across a yacht at a stranger for an unreasonable amount of time. Just be cool. Be normal. Be. She looked away first. Back to the room. Back to being entirely composed. Back to existing in a way that suggested this moment had cost her absolutely nothing, while I was sitting in a corner having what I could only call a quiet personal emergency. I looked back at my phone. The Notes app was open. I could not read a single word. I sat there for 4 full minutes, trying to remember what social media strategy was and why it mattered, and whether I was a person who cared about things before I gave up and went to the bar, because clearly this evening required a different approach. I was standing at the bar waiting for my drink when the bartender appeared in front of me holding a glass of champagne I had not ordered. "From the lady at the far table," he said. There was a small folded note underneath it. I looked across the room. She was sitting at a table now, slightly apart from the crowd, relaxed in the way that only people who are never uncomfortable are relaxed, watching me with an expression that was somehow completely neutral and the most unbothered thing I had ever seen in my life. I looked at the note. I opened it. "Your number." 2 words. No please. No introduction, no name, just your number, like it was obvious. Like this was just how things worked when she wanted something. And inside my head, oh, she sent me a drink. The most beautiful woman at this entire party, possibly the most beautiful woman I have personally encountered in 24 years of living, just sent me a drink and a note asking for my number, and I am standing here holding it. Okay, be cool. This is fine. This happens. Beautiful women send other women drinks at parties. This is a normal occurrence in the world. Just take the drink. Write down your number. Be a normal functioning adult who accepts champagne graciously, and wait. This is the most expensive champagne I have ever held in my hands. I can tell. I don't even know that much about champagne, but I can tell. And she sent it to me like it was nothing. Like sending a glass of the most expensive drink on this yacht to a stranger in a corner was just a casual Tuesday evening decision. The absolute audacity. The beautiful, well-dressed, incredibly attractive audacity. And inside my head, a different voice. The sensible one. The one that had been trying to save me from myself since approximately age 16. Zara. Write down your number. Just write down your number. You have been looking at this woman all evening, she noticed. She is interested. She sent you expensive champagne. This is the universe handing you something good. Take the champagne, write the number. Do not overthink this. Do not. I folded the note back up. I placed it carefully under the glass. I pushed the glass back toward the bartender and said very calmly, "Could you return this, please, and let her know that if she wants my number, she can come and ask for it herself." The bartender stared at me. "You're sending back the champagne," he said. "I'm sending back the champagne," I said. And immediately, the other voice in my head, "What are you doing? You just sent back the champagne. That was the most expensive drink you have ever touched in your life, and you sent it back. She is gorgeous, and she chose you, and you sent it back. Are you okay? Are you well? Do you need help? You've been craving that champagne since you picked it up." "I'm making a point," I told myself firmly. "I am a woman with standards. I do not accept anonymous notes from strangers. I have self-respect. I have dignity. I have an interview tomorrow," the sensible voice said flatly. "An interview tomorrow and no business doing anything at this party except existing quietly until Jade was ready to leave." The bartender walked away with the champagne. I ordered my drink. I told myself very firmly that I had done the right thing and that I was proud of myself, and that I was absolutely not going to spend the next several minutes watching to see if she actually came over. I watched to see if she actually came over. She won't come. She's too composed for that. Women like that send the drink and wait for you to come to them, and when you don't, they simply move on to literally anyone else at this party who would have taken the champagne without question. She's not coming. This was a moment, and I missed it, and that is fine. I am fine. I am going home and reviewing my interview notes and forgetting this entire "you sent it back." I turned. She was right there, not across the room, not at a distance where I could pretend this wasn't happening. Right there, standing at the bar beside me like she had simply decided to be there, and the universe had arranged itself accordingly. Close enough that I could see the detail of her watch and the precise way the light caught her face, and the fact that she was looking at me with an expression that was somewhere between curious and amused, and something else I didn't have the vocabulary for yet. Inside my head, complete silence. Every voice. Gone. Just her. "I sent it back," I said, because apparently the only thing I was capable of in this moment was confirming facts. "Nobody sends it back," she said. "Well," I said, "now somebody has." Something moved in her expression. Small. Real. "You could have just said no. You could have just come over," I said. A pause. Something that wasn't quite a smile but was right next to one. Fair. She was about to say something else. I know she was. The breath, the slight lean, the shift in her weight. Something was coming. Something that might have changed the entire direction of this evening. Zara. Jade's voice hit me from the left like a small natural disaster. "There you are, I have been looking." And then Jade's hand was around my wrist, and Jade was pulling me away with the single-minded focus of someone who had found a better situation elsewhere and needed me in it immediately, and had absolutely zero awareness of what she was interrupting. I looked back over my shoulder. She was still standing at the bar, still watching me go, still with that expression I didn't have a word for. And then, just as Jade pulled me around the corner, she did something completely unexpected. She winked. Slow, easy, unbothered. Like she had already decided something Something in me that had been sensible all evening made one final terrible decision. I winked back. Then the corner took her from my sight and she was gone. I went home at midnight. I reviewed my interview notes. I went to sleep. I thought about her the entire time. I told myself that was fine. I told myself it was just one moment at one party and I would never see her again, and by Monday morning she would be nothing but a funny story I told Jade over breakfast. I was wrong about that. I was so completely and catastrophically wrong about that. But I didn't know it yet. So I went to sleep, and I dreamed about a wink. I woke up the next morning with the kind of clarity that only comes from denial. You know that specific type. The one where your brain quietly decides that whatever happened the night before was not real, not important, and definitely not something we are going to unpack before 9 a.m. I chose that clarity. I chose peace. I chose to behave like a woman with a career to protect. I brushed my teeth. I made coffee. I opened my laptop. I reviewed my interview notes like a person who had not spent an unreasonable amount of time the night before making prolonged eye contact with a stranger who looked like she belonged on the cover of something expensive and intimidating. Everything was fine, completely fine. I was focused, grounded, prepared. I did not think about the way she had looked at me. I did not think about the champagne. I absolutely did not think about the wink. I was a professional. A serious person, a woman with a plan, and that plan did not include yacht women with dangerous eye contact. By the time I was dressed, back in my own clothes, my own space, my own reality, it was almost easy to believe that the entire night had been a temporary glitch in my otherwise very controlled life. Almost. Jade walked into the kitchen exactly as I was pouring my second cup of coffee and looked at me like she knew something I didn't. "You're up early," she said. "I have an interview," I said. "You met a woman." I froze mid-sip. "I go to places," I said carefully, "where women exist." Jade leaned against the counter, arms crossed, smile forming slowly like she had all the time in the world, and was about to enjoy every second of this. "You did the thing," she said. "I don't know what thing you're referring to. The staring thing." I was not staring. You were staring. I was observing. You were staring at her like you were trying to download her personality. That is not a thing. It should be. "You look stressed." I was not stressed. "You look like your brain had stopped working." That is, I stopped. Rethought that. Unrelated to anything that happened at that party. Jade laughed, completely unconvinced, and reached for the coffee like this was just entertainment for her. "So what happened?" she asked. "Nothing happened. Nothing?" She sent a drink. Jade went still. A drink. And I sent it back. Jade blinked. Once. Twice. Then she put the coffee down very carefully like it had suddenly become too heavy to hold. "You sent it back." "Yes." The woman who looked like, she gestured vaguely, struggling to find a word big enough, "that sent you a drink. And you sent it back." "Yes." Jade stared at me for a long moment. "I don't know if I'm impressed or deeply concerned." "I made a decision," I said. "You made a decision," she repeated slowly, like she was still trying to process it. "I have standards. You rejected champagne. I rejected the situation. You rejected the champagne. I rejected the implication. You rejected the champagne," she said again, like this was the part that truly mattered. I took a sip of my coffee. "I have an interview." Jade pointed at me. "This is why you're single. I am not single because of champagne. You are absolutely single because of champagne. You are single because when life offers you luxury and beautiful women, you say no and go home to your weighted blanket. That blanket has supported me emotionally more than any woman has." "That is the saddest thing you have ever said. That is the most honest thing I have ever said." Jade shook her head like she had officially given up on me as a person. "Did she at least come over?" she asked. I hesitated. That tiny, dangerous moment. "She did," I admitted. And we spoke and then you dragged me away." Jade's face lit up instantly. "Oh my God," I interrupted something. "You interrupted everything. I didn't know. You didn't look. I saw you standing at the bar alone like a sad documentary, and I was helping. I was not sad. You were alone. I chose to be alone. You were about to not be alone." I exhaled slowly, setting my cup down like this conversation required stability. "It doesn't matter," I said. "I'm never going to see her again." Jade made a face. "That feels like something you shouldn't say out loud. It's realistic. It's suspiciously confident for someone who spent 10 minutes staring at her." "I did not. You did. I have an interview." "You said that already. And that is what matters." Jade watched me for a second longer, like she was deciding whether to push this further or let it go. She let it go. "For now." "Fine," she said. Go be responsible, impress your corporate people, get your job, build your career, that's the plan. But when you see her again, I will not see her again. When you see her again, she repeated, ignoring me completely. Try not to send back the champagne this time. I picked up my bag. I am not seeing her again. Jade smiled. That kind of smile that meant she was already preparing to say I told you so in the near future. We'll see, she said. We would, just not in the way either of us expected. Interviews, in my experience, are a very specific type of performance. You sit in a chair that is never as comfortable as it looks, in a room that is either too cold or pretending not to be, and you try to convince a group of strangers that you are both competent and normal, which is already a difficult combination to maintain under observation. I am good at interviews. Not because I enjoy them, not because I am naturally confident, but because I prepare like my life depends on it, and in this case, it kind of did. Chase Media Group was not a small company. It was not even a medium company. It was the kind of company people mentioned with a tone shift, the kind of place that turned careers into something solid, stable, impressive. I had spent 3 weeks preparing. 3 weeks. Color-coded notes, mock answers. Research so detailed I knew their last 5 campaigns, what worked, what didn't, and what I would have done differently if anyone had thought to ask me. I was ready, which is why, sitting in the reception area, I felt calm. Not yacht calm, not fake calm, real calm. My name was called. I stood up, adjusted my blazer, and followed the assistant down a hallway that looked like it had never seen clutter in its life. Glass walls, clean lines, everything quiet in a way that felt expensive. We stopped in front of a conference room. Good luck, she said with a small smile. I won't need it, I said automatically. Then I blinked. Thank you. She smiled a little wider like she appreciated the correction and opened the door. 3 people sat inside. 2 I expected, 1 I did not. And for a moment, just a moment, I thought my brain had decided to sabotage me because sitting at the far end of the table, composed, still, entirely out of place in a way that made no sense in this context, was her. Same presence, same stillness, different setting, which somehow made it worse. My step slowed by half a second. Not enough for anyone else to notice. Enough for me to feel it. No. This was a corporate office. This was a professional environment. That was a yacht. That was a completely different world. People like her did not just appear twice. I took my seat. I smiled. I greeted them like a person who was not currently having a very quiet internal crisis. Zara Mitchell, one of them said, glancing at my file. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for having me. My voice was steady. Good. We could work with steady. Introductions were made. Names I registered this time. Roles, titles, the structure of the conversation. Everything exactly how it was supposed to be. And then, let's start simple, the woman on the left said. Tell us about yourself. Easy. I could do easy. I spoke. Clearly. Concisely. Not too fast, not too slow. I hit the points I had practiced. Adjusted where necessary. Let it sound natural instead of rehearsed. I was aware of all 3 of them listening, but I was very aware of one of them watching, not interrupting, not reacting, just watching. I did not look at her directly. I did not need to. You can feel attention like that. It's not loud, it's not obvious. It's just present in a way that doesn't move. The questions continued. Strategy. Campaign analysis. Crisis management, I answered, and something familiar settled into place. This was my space. Not yachts, not parties, not eye contact across a room that made your brain stop working. This, structure, logic, ideas. I relaxed. Not physically, never physically. But mentally, everything aligned. When they pushed back on one of my ideas, I didn't retreat. I adjusted, explained, built on it. At some point, I forgot to be nervous. At some point, I forgot to be careful, and that is usually when I am at my best. So if you had to choose one change we should implement immediately, the man across from me said, leaning forward slightly, what would it be? I answered without checking my notes, without filtering it down into something safer. I said what I actually thought. There was a small pause after I finished, not uncomfortable, just there. The woman on the left nodded slowly. The man made a note, and for the first time since I had entered the room, I looked at her, directly. She was already looking at me. Of course she was. Her expression hadn't changed much, still composed, still controlled. But there was something there now that hadn't been there before. Recognition, not surprise, not confusion. Recognition, like she had been waiting to confirm something, and had just gotten her answer. My stomach tightened slightly. I held her gaze for exactly 1 second. Then I looked away. Professional. This was professional. Everything about this was professional. Thank you, the woman on the left said. That was very thorough, of course. More questions. Lighter ones now. Culture fit. Work style. The kind of things that mattered but didn't define you. I answered those two, consistent, measured, controlled. At the end, they exchanged a glance, the kind people exchange when they have already decided something and are just confirming that everyone else agrees. We'll be in touch, the man said. Standard. Expected. And as I turned to leave Zara, I stopped, turned back. She was the one who spoke. Her voice was exactly what I expected, low, even, the kind that didn't need volume to be heard. Yes? A pause. Not long, just enough. Good work, she said. 2 words. Simple, professional, nothing more. And yet, something about the way she said it felt like it meant more than it should have. Thank you, I replied. And then I left. The door closed behind me. The hallway felt quieter than before. I walked past the glass walls, past the reception, out of the building and into the air that suddenly felt lighter than it had when I walked in. I did well. I knew I did. That part wasn't the question. The question was why she had been there. I stood on the sidewalk for a moment, replaying the interview in my head like I always did, checking for mistakes, missed opportunities, things I could have said better. There weren't many, which meant I should have been satisfied. Relieved, even. Instead, there was a small, persistent thought sitting at the back of my mind. Quiet, uncomfortable. She had looked at me the same way. Not like a stranger, not like someone she had just met, but like someone she had already decided was worth paying attention to. I shook it off, overthinking. That was all. I had done my part. The rest was out of my hands, and whatever happened next had nothing to do with a yacht, or champagne, or a woman who winked like she already knew something I didn't. At least that's what I told myself. And for a few hours, I almost believed it. Thank you for having me, I said. And then I walked out. I made it to the elevator. I made it to the ground floor. I walked out of the building and stood on the pavement in the September air and stared at a point in the middle distance for approximately 30 seconds. Then I called Jade. She picked up on the second ring. How did it go? She was on the panel, I said. Silence. Who was the yacht woman? The silence that followed was so complete. I pulled the phone away from my ear to check if the call had dropped. Jade, I'm here, she said. I'm processing. Process faster. The yacht woman was on your interview panel. Yes. The champagne woman. Yes. The wink. Yes, Jade. Another silence. Slightly louder this time. Okay, she said slowly. Okay, how did the interview go? I think I killed it. You killed the interview. I think so, even with her sitting there, especially with her sitting there, that part surprised me as I said it, because it was true. Something about being looked at by someone who had already seen me at my most unfiltered. Sitting in a corner, sending back champagne like I had something to prove, had done something strange to my brain. It hadn't made me nervous. It had made me honest, which was probably something I should unpack at a later date. Zara, Jade said, what if you get this job? I know she will be your... I know. Jade, did she recognize you? I thought about it. The handshake. Professional. Brief. The way she had looked at me. Steady, but unreadable. The way she had said good work like it was just another part of the interview. No, I said. I don't think so. I was wrong about that. I just didn't know it yet. I went home, made tea, called Nadia, told her everything. There was a pause on the line when I finished. Then, that's statistically very unlikely, she said. That is not comforting. It's not supposed to be comforting. It's supposed to be accurate. Can you be inaccurately comforting for 5 minutes? No. Just a little. No. I sighed. Do you think I got it? Yes. That came too fast. You didn't even hesitate. You wouldn't be asking if you thought you did badly. That's not... You're asking because something else is distracting you. Nothing is distracting me. The yacht woman. I said nothing. You said everything. I lay back on my bed and stared at the ceiling. Even if I get it, I said slowly, it's not like it matters. It matters, Nadia said. It's just a job. It's a very good job. It's a job. And she's there. I closed my eyes. That's irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. It's just inconvenient. That's the same thing. It's really not. I turned my head to the side, pressing my cheek into my pillow like that might ground me in something that made more sense than this entire situation. Nothing is going to happen, I said. I didn't say something would happen. You implied it. I observed it. You observed incorrectly. Zara, what? You don't send back champagne to people you feel nothing about. I opened my eyes. That was a principle. That was a decision. That was self-respect. That was attraction. I sat up. That was not attraction. That was absolutely attraction. That was me being logical. That was you being dramatic. I am not dramatic. You sent back expensive champagne. I had an interview. You had a moment. I chose the interview. You chose the moment too. Nadia said quietly. Otherwise, you would have just taken the drink. I didn't respond to that. Because I didn't have a response that didn't make things more complicated than I wanted them to be. Call me when you get the result, she said. I will. And Zara, what, if you get it? Don't overthink it before anything even happens. Nothing is going to happen. Okay. She didn't sound convinced, which was annoying, because I was. 3 days later, I got the email. I opened it, read the first line, didn't bother with the rest. The position was mine. If I wanted it, I wanted it. Of course I wanted it. I accepted before I had finished reading properly, closed my laptop, sat very still, and thought about what I had just agreed to. Jade walked into my room holding 2 mugs of tea and one expression that said she already knew. You got it, she said. I got it, I said. She handed me the tea and sat beside me. We both stared at the wall like there was something important written there that we hadn't noticed before. She's going to be your boss, Jade said. She's going to be my boss, I said. A pause. This is fine, Jade said. This is completely fine, I said. Neither of us believed that. But the tea was good. The job was mine. And Monday was coming whether I was ready for it or not. There are 2 types of first days. The kind where you walk in, slightly nervous, slightly hopeful, telling yourself this could be the start of something good. And the kind where you walk in knowing, deep in your soul, that something is about to go wrong. I did not know which kind this was yet. I woke up early. Earlier than necessary. The kind of early that suggests your brain has already decided sleep is no longer a priority, because anxiety has taken over as a full-time job. I stared at my ceiling for a full minute before sitting up. Today was fine. Today was normal. Today was just a job. I had done harder things than this. I had survived freelance clients who said things like make it pop without further explanation. I had negotiated deadlines with people who believed time was a suggestion. I had once fixed a brand's entire social presence overnight because someone forgot to schedule content for a product launch. I could handle a first day. I got dressed carefully. Not too much, not too little. Professional, but not trying too hard. Clean lines, neutral colors. The kind of outfit that said I belong here without screaming, please let me belong here. I looked at myself in the mirror. You are normal, I told my reflection. You are competent. You are not thinking about the yacht. I paused. You are definitely not thinking about the yacht. I picked up my bag. Left the apartment before my brain could argue. Chase Media Group looked exactly the same in the morning. Still clean. Still controlled. Still slightly intimidating in a way that made you want to stand up straighter without being told to. The receptionist smiled when I walked in. First day? She asked. Is it that obvious? Only a little. That's comforting. She handed me a badge. Directed me upstairs. I thanked her, stepped into the elevator, and watched the doors close like I was stepping into something I had already agreed to but not fully processed. This is fine. Everything is fine. The office floor was already alive when I stepped out. Not loud, not chaotic, just moving. People at desks, conversations happening in low tones, screens lit up with things that mattered. Work, real work. I liked that. I could do work. A woman approached me with a warm smile and a tablet in her hand. You must be Zara, she said. I'm Diana, senior strategist. I'll get you settled. She was polished in a way that felt intentional, confident, put together. The kind of person who knew exactly how she was perceived and made sure it worked in her favor. Follow me, she said. I followed. She walked me through the space, pointing things out, explaining structure, who handled what, where I fit into all of it. I nodded at the right moments, took mental notes, focused. This was good. This was exactly what I had wanted. We stopped at a desk. This is you, she said. My desk, my computer, my space. It was small, simple, perfect. Team meeting in 5, Diana added. You'll meet everyone properly then. Got it. She gave me one last look. Quick, assessing. Then she smiled. Welcome to Chase, thank you. She walked away. I sat down, placed my bag carefully, turned on the computer, exhaled. Okay. This was real. I was here. I did this. It was subtle, but not subtle enough. Conversations softened, movements adjusted. Something changed in a way that didn't need to be announced. And without looking, I knew. No, not here. Not like this. I looked up, and there she was, walking through the office like she belonged to it, like it belonged to her. Because very quickly it became clear, it did. The same presence, the same control, the same effortless way of taking up space without asking for it. Except now, it wasn't a yacht. It wasn't a party. It was my workplace. My actual, real, professional workplace. And she was the CEO. My brain stopped. Fully, completely. No recovery. No backup system. Just nothing. Around me, people were moving, standing straighter, greeting her. "Good morning." "Morning. Morning, ma'am." She acknowledged them with small nods, brief responses. Nothing excessive, nothing wasted. And then her eyes landed on me. Recognition. Immediate. Undeniable. Gone just as quickly. Replaced with something else. Professional, flat, controlled. Like the yacht had never happened. Like I had imagined it. Like I had not sent back champagne and winked at her. Like I had lost all sense of judgment. I sat there, frozen, trying to remember how to exist in a way that did not expose the fact that my entire internal system had just collapsed. "Everyone," Diana's voice cut through the moment. Bright and composed. "Quick introduction before we start." People gathered. I stood. Because everyone else stood. Because that felt like the correct thing to do. "This is Zara," Diana said, gesturing toward me. "Our new social media manager." Eyes turned. Attention shifted. I smiled. Professional, normal, functioning. And then, Zara, her voice, close, too close. I turned. She was standing right in front of me. Not across the room. Not at a safe, manageable distance. Right there. "Welcome," she said. Her hand extended. I stared at it for half a second too long before taking it. Her grip was firm, controlled, warm, and for 3 seconds, everything from the yacht came rushing back at once. The eye contact, the note, the champagne, the wink, all of it. Compressed into a handshake that should have meant nothing. "Thank you," I said. My voice did not betray me. That was impressive. She held my gaze. Not long, not inappropriate, just enough. Then, released my hand, stepped back, and just like that, she was gone. Back to the front of the room, back to being the CEO, like none of that had happened, like we were strangers. "Let's begin," she said. The meeting started. People spoke. Ideas were shared. Notes were taken. I heard none of it. Not really. Because my brain was still stuck on one very important, very inconvenient realization. The yacht woman, the champagne woman, the woman who winked at me like she knew exactly what she was doing, was my boss. My actual boss. My direct, I needed to focus. Focus. This was work. This mattered. I forced myself to listen, to follow, to exist in the meeting like a person who had not accidentally flirted with her CEO before officially being employed. I was doing well. I was recovering. I was stabilizing. And then it happened, without thinking, without planning, without a single intelligent thought passing through my brain first. I winked. At her, again. It was small, barely noticeable, a reflex, a terrible, terrible reflex. Her expression did not change immediately. She finished listening to the person speaking. She nodded once, then her gaze shifted, landed on me, direct, calm, deadly. "Is there something wrong with your eye?" she asked. The room went quiet, not completely, but enough. Enough for the question to land exactly where it was meant to. On me. Heat rushed to my face so fast it felt like a physical impact. "No," I said quickly. "No, nothing's wrong. Good," she said. And then, like it meant nothing, she continued the meeting. Just like that. No hesitation, no reaction, no acknowledgement of the fact that I had just embarrassed myself in front of my entire team on my first day. I sat there, very still, very aware, very much wishing I could rewind the last 5 seconds of my life. The meeting ended. People started moving again. Conversations resumed. Everything normal. Except me. I was not normal. I was actively considering disappearing. Diana appeared beside me. "Rough start?" she asked lightly. "I think I blacked out for a second." She smiled. "You'll get used to her. That's comforting. It's not supposed to be." She glanced at my outfit. Quick. Sharp. I looked down at myself. Professional. Clean. Appropriate. "What's wrong with it?" "Nothing," Diana said. "It's just safe." I blinked. "I like safe." She doesn't. That was not helpful. At all. I picked up my notebook. My dignity. What was left of it, and sat back down at my desk. This was fine. This was manageable. This was just a job. A very good job. With a very powerful CEO, who I had winked at twice. On 2 separate occasions. For no reason. At all. I opened my laptop, stared at the screen, took a slow breath, and came to one very clear, very immediate conclusion. I was going to avoid her. Completely. At all costs. Starting now. That felt like the smartest decision I had made all week. Which, in hindsight, should have worried me. A plan built entirely on the idea that if I did not look at her, speak to her, exist in her immediate vicinity, or in any way remind her that I was the same woman who had sent back champagne and then winked like I had no home training, everything would stabilize. Distance. Silence. Professional invisibility. That was the plan. It failed immediately. I want to be clear about something. My avoidance strategy was excellent. Genuinely excellent. I had mapped 3 separate routes through the office that did not require passing the CEO's corner office. I knew her approximate schedule based on observation alone. 9 a.m. walkthrough, 11 a.m. meetings on the executive floor, 1 p.m. lunch, which she sometimes took at her desk and sometimes did not take at all, because apparently she was also the kind of person who forgot to eat when she was focused, which I did not find endearing in any way whatsoever. I had a system. The system worked for exactly 4 days, which meant it was Thursday before anything went wrong again. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about Monday evening first. I got home at 6:15. Jade was on the sofa with a bowl of rice and an expression that said she had been waiting. I dropped my bag at the door. I took off my shoes. I walked to the sofa and sat down and stared at the wall for a moment. Jade waited exactly 7 seconds before she broke. "Tell me everything." "She's the CEO," I said. Silence. "Sorry," Jade said. "Run that back." "The woman from the yacht," I said. "The champagne, the wink. She is the CEO of Chase Media Group. She is my direct superior. She runs the entire company. She was at my interview. She is the reason I have a job." Jade put down her bowl of rice very slowly and carefully in the way people put things down when they need both hands free to process information. "Zara." "I know. The yacht woman. I know. The one you sent the champagne back to. I know Jade," and then winked at. "I am aware. And she is your boss." That is what I said, yes. Jade stared at me for a long moment. Then she picked up her phone. "I'm calling Nadia," she said. "It's fine, I don't need." She was already dialing. Nadia arrived 20 minutes later with the energy of someone who had been given incomplete information over the phone and needed the full version before she could form an opinion. She sat in the armchair across from us, cross-legged, tea in hand, and looked at me with the particular focus of someone about to conduct a reasonable and thorough analysis. "Okay," she said. "From the beginning." So I told them everything. The whole first day, the walkthrough, the handshake. The moment I looked up and my brain had simply decided to stop working. The meeting, the wink, the eye comment. Diana and her opinion about my wardrobe. Jade reacted to each part in real time with the energy of someone watching a very dramatic film. Nadia listened without interrupting until I was done. Then she said the wink was a mistake. "I know that. Why did you wink?" "I don't know. You have to know. Muscles don't just..." "Nadia, it was a reflex. I don't know why I did it. I just looked at her and my eye did the thing." "Your eye did the thing," Jade repeated, delighted. "That's not," I stopped. "You know what I mean." Nadia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You like her?" "I like being employed. You like her. She is my boss. Those things can both be true at the same time." "They cannot both be, Zara." Nadia looked at me with the calm, direct gaze of someone who had known me long enough to skip the part where I argued. "You have been talking about this woman for 2 weeks. You sent back her champagne. You winked at her at a party. You winked at her again on your first day at work for no logical reason. You came home looking like your brain had been unplugged." She paused. "You like her?" The room was quiet. "I don't know her," I said finally, which was not the same as saying she was wrong. Nadia nodded like she'd expected that answer. "Okay," she said. "Then here's what you do. You go to work tomorrow. You do your job. You do it very well. You do not wink at anyone. You do not send anyone champagne or decline champagne or do anything champagne adjacent. You just work." "That was my plan," I said. "Good. It's a very sensible plan. It is." Jade raised her hand. "Can I say something?" "No," Nadia and I said at the same time. "She said it anyway. She noticed your outfit." I looked at her. "On a first day walkthrough that lasted 4 minutes," Jade continued, "where she spoke to approximately 12 people and processed approximately 40 pieces of information. She noticed your outfit specifically enough to comment on it. She was giving professional feedback. She was looking at TU." "Jade, I'm just saying what I see. You see chaos everywhere," I said. "You once convinced yourself our neighbor was in love with you because he held the elevator door." He was being polite. "He held it for 40 seconds because you were walking slowly." Nadia stood up. "Okay," she said pleasantly. "I'm going home. Zara, go to work tomorrow? Be excellent. Do not wink." She picked up her bag. Jade, stop encouraging her. "I'm not encouraging, I'm observing." "Good night," Nadia said and let herself out. Tuesday I avoided the CEO successfully. Wednesday I avoided the CEO successfully. Thursday morning, it failed immediately. Dress of things. "Morning," I replied, placing my bag down with the quiet determination of someone trying to behave normally under abnormal circumstances. She looked up at me, paused. "You're early. I like early. You don't look like someone who likes early. I'm expanding my person." "Morning," Diana said as I walked in, already seated at her desk like she had been there for hours doing important impality. She smiled. That's ambitious. I sat down quickly, turned on my computer, and focused very hard on the screen like if I stared at it long enough it would protect me from everything else happening in the room. Emails. Safe. Emails were safe. Emails did not ask about my eye. Emails did not remember yachts. Emails did not look at me like they had already decided something. I opened the first one. Read it. Read it again. Did not absorb a single word. Relax, Diana said casually from across the desk. She's not even in yet. I froze. I didn't say anything. You didn't have to. I'm really not. She makes everyone nervous at first. I'm not nervous. You're typing without looking at the keyboard and you spelled your own name wrong in that email. I looked down. Zra. I deleted it carefully. Calmly. I'm adjusting, I said. Of course you are. I clicked send. Exhaled slowly. Okay. Fine. Maybe I was a little. The energy shifted. Again. Subtle. Immediate. Unavoidable. I did not look up. I refused. I would not participate. I would not confirm anything. I would simply continue being a person with a job who existed peacefully in her workspace and... Zara! I closed my eyes. Just for a second. Then opened them. Turned. She was standing beside my desk. Of course she was. Because of course she would be. Close enough that I could see the precise detail of her watch again. Close enough that I was very aware of the fact that I was sitting and she was standing and that this was somehow worse than any other configuration of this interaction. Yes. Steady. Professional. We were professionals. I sent you a project brief this morning, she said. Did you review it? I did. That was true. Technically. I had opened it. I had looked at it. I had not processed it. But I had seen it and right. And I think the current engagement issue isn't just content quality, I said, buying myself half a second to think. It's positioning. The tone is inconsistent across platforms, so the audience doesn't have a clear expectation of what they're getting. She didn't respond immediately. She just looked at me. Not the way she had looked at me in the meeting. This was different. Focused. Measured. Like she was weighing something. And your solution? She asked. I'd restructure the content pillars first, I said. Define them properly. Then adjust voice guidelines per platform, instead of forcing the same tone everywhere. A pause. Short, then good, one word, simple. And yet, it did something, annoyingly. Something small and inconvenient and entirely unnecessary. Send me a draft by end of day, she added. I will. She held my gaze for a fraction longer. Then, she left. Just like that, no extra words, no unnecessary interaction, just gone. I turned back to my screen. Sat there, very still. Diana leaned slightly toward me. You're alive, she said. I think so. She spoke to you twice in 2 days. That feels excessive. That's called attention. That's called work. That's not how she works. I looked at her. What does that mean? It means she doesn't waste time. I'm not a waste of time. I didn't say you were, Diana said lightly. I'm saying she doesn't engage unless she has a reason. I am the reason. That's one way to look at it. I turned back to my screen. Ignored that, focused. Work. Work was good. Work was predictable. Work did not involve eye contact that felt like a problem. The morning passed. Emails, tasks, structure. I settled into it slowly, piece by piece, until things started to feel normal again. Manageable, controlled. And then, the meeting, group project. Large table, multiple people. Voices overlapping slightly. Ideas being thrown around. I sat there, notebook open. Pen ready, completely silent. Not because I didn't have anything to say. I had things to say. I had several things to say. But saying them out loud required a level of confidence I did not currently have available to me under these specific circumstances. So what do we think? Someone asked. Silence. Then someone else spoke. Confident. Clear. Wrong. Not completely wrong. Just not good. Not completely wrong. Safer. Contained. Private. The conversation moved on. Decisions started forming. None of them aligned with what I was thinking. I looked up, briefly. She was at the head of the table, listening, not interrupting, not correcting, just watching. And for a second, her eyes flicked to me. Just for a second. And something in that look, expectation, like she was waiting for me. I looked down, immediately. Absolutely not, no. We were not doing that. We were not speaking in meetings on day 2 in front of everyone while my brain was still recovering from public embarrassment. The meeting ended. People stood. Chairs moved. Conversations resumed. I packed my notebook slowly, deliberately, like if I moved carefully enough, I could exit this situation without drawing attention to myself. It almost worked. Zara, of course it didn't work. I turned. She was still seated, looking at me. Do you have something to add? She asked. Direct. Simple, no judgment in her tone, which somehow made it worse. I hesitated, very briefly. Then, no, I said. Lie, obvious lie, terrible lie. She held my gaze, long enough for me to feel it, not long enough for anyone else to notice. All right, she said, and that was it. No push, no follow-up, no correction, just, all right. I nodded. Left. Later, back at home at night, I opened my laptop, stared at the screen, and felt something settle uncomfortably in my chest. Not fear, not embarrassment, something else, regret, annoying, unnecessary, entirely avoidable. I opened a new message, typed her name, paused, closed it. No, absolutely not. We were not messaging the CEO. We were not doing that. That was not. I opened it again, typed, deleted, typed again, stopped. This was a bad idea, a very bad idea. I hit send. Hi. I had some additional thoughts on the campaign discussed earlier. I didn't mention them in the meeting, but I believe adjusting the content structure before rollout would improve engagement significantly. I've outlined a quick framework below. I attached the document. Read the message 3 times. Close my eyes. Exhaled. There. Done. Professional. Safe. Normal. I set my phone face down on the desk. Did not look at it. Refused to look at it. Focused on my work. Minutes passed. Then, a notification. I stared at it. Did not touch it. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15. I picked up my phone. Opened the message. Your idea is good. Send a full version. That was it. No greeting. No extra words. Your idea was good. I picked my phone back up. Read it one more time. Then I did something I'd been avoiding since Monday of the previous week. I stared at the new contact name for a moment. Then I kept it, because it was accurate. And it made me feel slightly less like I was losing my mind about a professional reply to a work email. Jade knocked on my door at 7:30. You're smiling, she said. I'm not. You're smiling at your phone. I received positive professional feedback. From my project lead, yes. Zara, what? You're smiling. I'm a person who responds positively to professional validation. You are smiling because she texted you. She replied to a work message. At 10:47 p.m. I said nothing. Jade leaned against the doorframe with the expression of someone watching something unfold exactly the way they had predicted. You saved her number, didn't you? I have everyone's number from the company directory. What did you save it as? I looked at my phone. Something professional, I said. Jade did not believe me. Correctly. Get ready for work, I told her. Some of us have jobs to get to. It had been a good week. The Henderson plan was approved and running. My contributions to the team had been well received. Temmie had started saving me a seat in meetings without being asked. Even Diana had said something that bordered on a compliment when I turned around a content brief in 3 hours that she had expected to take 2 days. Things were settling. I was settling. The avoidance strategy had been quietly retired because avoiding someone in a company of 60 people, while also being on their most important project team, was not mathematically sustainable. I had replaced it with something more manageable, which was simply being professional and focused and not doing anything that could be described as a wink. It was going well. I was doing well. Everything was fine. And then Friday night happened. The problem with feeling safe is that it makes you careless, not reckless, not dramatic, just relaxed enough to forget that consequences exist. By Friday night, I felt safe. Not with her, absolutely not with her, but with everything else. The job was real. The work made sense. I had survived my first few weeks without resigning, fainting, or accidentally winking again, which felt like a measurable success. I was home, in my room, in my comfortable clothes, hair wrapped, laptop open, snacks within reach. This was my environment. This was where I made good decisions. Jade was on the floor, halfway through a story that had too many names and not enough structure. And then she said, no, wait, before that, because this is important. You have to understand she was wearing. I don't need to understand what she was wearing, I said without looking up from my phone. I need you to get to the point. The outfit is the point. The outfit is not the point. The outfit is always the point. It is never the point. My phone buzzed. Group chat. I glanced down. Nadia had sent something, a screenshot, some long message about work and boundaries and life choices. Very Nadia. I started typing because that is what I do. I process by typing. I think through sentences. I say things better in messages than out loud. It is controlled, contained, safe. My thumbs moved quickly. I think I might have a crush on my CEO. I paused, looked at it. That was honest. Too honest, but accurate. I added one more line. This is not ideal. Jade leaned closer. What are you typing? Nothing. That is not nothing. It is just a sentence. That is not just a sentence. I hit send. Because of course I did. There, done, sent, normal, safe, contained. Exactly where it was supposed to go. Jade grabbed my arm. Let me see. No, Zara. No, Zara. Fine. I turned the phone toward her. She read it, paused. Oh my God. I stated a fact. That is a confession. That is a statement. That is absolutely a confession. My phone buzzed again. An immediate reply. Fast. Too fast. Nadia does not reply that fast. Nadia reads, thinks, analyzes, then replies slowly and carefully. This was not that. Jade grabbed my wrist. Open it. I'm not opening it. Open it. I opened it. 3 dots. Just typing. No message. Just typing. My entire body went still. Why is she typing like that? Jade whispered. I don't know. The dots disappeared. Came back. Disappeared again. Came back again. Something about this was off. Very off. Maybe she's writing something long, Jade said. Nadia doesn't do long messages. Maybe this is the one time she does. This is not the one time she does. The message came through. Noted. Silence. Deep and immediate and uncomfortable. Jade blinked. That's it. That's it. That is not a Nadia response. That is not a Nadia response, I agreed. I scrolled up, looked at the chat. Properly, carefully, slowly. And then my stomach dropped completely and instantly because at the top of the screen was not group chat, was not Jade, was not Nadia. It was Victoria Chase. No, I said out loud. Jade froze. What? No. Zara, what happened? I turned the phone toward her slowly, carefully, like it might explode. She read the name, looked at me, looked back at the phone. Looked at me again. Oh my God. No. You sent it to your CEO. I did not send it to my CEO. You sent Victoria Chase a message saying you have a crush on her. I did not. Zara. I stopped. Because there was no version of this where she was wrong. None. Zero. Absolute. I need to leave the country, I said. That is not the solution. That is the only solution. You cannot leave the country. I can fake my death. You cannot fake your death. I am actively considering it. You are not considering it. Jade grabbed my shoulders. You need to breathe. I am breathing. You are spiraling. I am not. My phone buzzed again. We both froze. Slowly, carefully. I opened it. Be in the office early on Monday. We need to discuss this. Silence. Total. Complete. End of life silence. Jade looked at me. I looked at her. Neither of us spoke, because there was nothing useful to say, nothing helpful, nothing that could fix this. I lay back on my bed and stared at the ceiling, completely still, completely quiet, because my job, my professional reputation, everything had just ended with one very small, very simple, very avoidable message. And the worst part? The absolute worst part? I could not blame anyone else, not Jade, not Nadia, not the universe, just me, and my thumbs, and my complete lack of situational awareness. I closed my eyes, took a slow breath, and accepted one very clear, unavoidable truth.
And that is where we leave you tonight. I know. We will be back very soon with the next episode, I promise you. It only gets deeper from here.
If you felt something, drop your favorite moment in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you are watching this for the first time, welcome to the kingdom. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss what happens next. Until next time, stay brave. See you in episode 2